Welcome back into the den. I'm Tobin. A more serious video, a video that I might take a little heat for, but it's something that I really think that needs to be discussed and hopefully thought about. I don't like the word influencer at all in terms of a YouTuber, but if I can influence anything with any of my videos, I hope to influence at least one person's way of thinking. The dangers and pitfalls of FOMO in the wet shaving community. And this can be applied to many communities, whether it's the watch collecting community, beard community, electronics. You can go on and on and on. The things that I talk about in this video, just remove the object and insert something else. This is not a problem that the rest of the world is immune to. It's not just a wet shaving problem. But since I am a wet shaving content creator, I will be speaking directly to the wet shavers with this topic. New wet shavers, seasoned wet shavers, it affects all of us. And I will be speaking from a place of been there, done that, and still struggle with that. FOMO for myself is something that I've had to learn how to deal with and how to manage and how to live responsibly with it and within the hobby. FOMO, for those who don't know, is the fear of missing out. It's a very primal instinct that goes back thousands of years with human nature, that we don't want to be the last, we want to be in the know. And at different times in human history, the fear of missing out could mean that you didn't eat or that you didn't survive. So it's this very primal instinct that I wanted to say corporate America, but corporations globally have learned to maximize to their benefit. And it is a psychological phenomenon that leads to impulsive decisions. In our case, overspending on shaving products. What I want to do in this video is break down how it affects us as individuals, myself included. I'm preaching to myself with this video. This video and the research that I've done in doing it is as much for myself as it is hopefully for you, the viewer. I want to break down how it impacts the community as well as us as individuals. The allure of new products is ever present, constantly being flooded all the time, whether it's the latest gadget or gizmo, the new cell phone, the new laptop, tablet, whatever, newest car, always being hit by it. For us, soaps, razors, brushes, etc. And for us particularly as wet shavers, that promise of the best shave of your life, that this latest greatest fragrance is going to be a panty dropper, and everywhere you go the ladies are going to swoon and fall into your arms, and it's just going to be a wonderful magical time, right? Because you're wearing the fragrance that makes a man. However, the problem is that oftentimes these must-have items add up to financial stress, whether you believe it or not. And hopefully this hasn't happened to you. In my 10 years, I joined the community in 2015, got my first DE razor in 2013, whole other story. But in my 10 years of doing it, I have seen and heard stories of it destroying the marriages of content creators, seen personally it destroy marriages. And that's because people get so consumed that they literally start spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that they do not have. It's not common for a guy to spend $5,000, $10,000 in a year on wet shaving. And if you don't have that kind of money, if you're not the kind of guy that is wearing a $10,000 suit to work every day, $5,000 or $10,000 is enough to cause financial stress. All of us have to know our limits. Wet shaving should be relaxing. It should be something that you enjoy and that you look forward to every day. The hobby itself should be enjoyable, and in no way should it cause stress or any type of fatigue mentally at all, relationships-wise or otherwise. Wet shaving should be relaxing. So I will be included in this. And this is one of the reasons why I always try not to create what I call false FOMO. If you watch my content, you may have heard me talk about that. I try my hardest not to create false FOMO. I wanted to make a video about this for about a year or so now. And it's kind of come to a head because over the last few months, I've actually, and I'll be doing a video about this, kind of ironically, but helping out two different friends clear out part of their den. I have received a bunch of product from a couple of different guys, and I will be helping them clean out their mountain of razors and brushes. So that's kind of what pushed me into doing this video. It was a few months ago. I had a friend reach out to me. He mailed me a whole bunch of his stuff. I've been sitting on it. And then now recently, another friend in the community mailed me a bunch of his stuff. And so an upcoming video will be me pushing off their used product and trying to find the best way to help them get out of their mess. So as a YouTuber, I have to be constantly aware of this. And something that we all have to be aware of, myself included, is other YouTubers, but then not just YouTube, Facebook and Instagram. When we see people posting pictures of their latest haul, their latest mail call, that kicks in FOMO. And, in a lot of ways, the wet shaving community is awesome because we have a place that we can come and learn tips and tricks from one another. But at the same time, and a lot of times we joke about this, we enable one another. But in the same way that a junkie, a crackhead, a meth head, a drug addict enables one another. And when we get into debt, it's no longer a laughing matter. It's no longer cool. It's no longer sexy. It's no longer something that is to be desired. So while, that is where we find our sense of community is in social media, it's also one of those places that's also can be a snare and entraps us. So it leads me into, I wanted to share a couple practical tips that I myself need to continue to try and apply, and things that I want to lay upon you if you haven't already thought about these things, and maybe share with others if you're not, if you don't fall into this category. Hopefully it will arm you with some tools that you might be able to help someone, whether it's in this community or maybe somewhere else in life where they have a problem with overspending. Number one, set a budget. Determine how much you're willing to spend on shaving products each month and stick to it. Number two, make a wish list. Instead of buying products impulsively, create a wish list. If you still want the item after a few days, after a month preferably, sit on it for a while. Consider purchasing it after sitting on it. Don't just oh, here, it's available. I gotta have it. I gotta be the first one. Sit back. Remember that budget. Remember the first thing, setting a budget. And only you know what your budget can be, whether it's $5 or $5 bajillion trillion, right? Number three, focus on quality. Invest in high quality essential items that will last rather than frequently buying lower quality, trendy products. 4, limit media consumption. This is why I wrote it down. Number 4, limit social media consumption. Be mindful of how much time you spend on social media and recognize its impact on your spending habits. This hobby and wet shaving should be enjoyable. It should not induce stress. It should not cause stress. And oftentimes it does. I know it has for me over the years that I have overspent. It's one of the problems with these pay in 4 programs like Klarna. There's another one, I can't think of it right now. PayPal has one, and they can be awesome. But at the same time, I cannot share with you guys, and if you've been in the community for any time at all, you've seen people do this as well, and probably even yourself, that, every time you turn around, they're posting a new mail call photo, and you see the, we have to know our own limits, right? So this is just kind of my way of trying to help you with a couple of practical ways of dealing with it, but then also realizing that It's okay not to dive in. And also me reaching out to you to ask you guys to keep me honest, that I don't create false FOMO, that I'm not creating content that is making you feel like that you have to have something, that if you don't act now, that you're going to somehow be left behind. I'm very mindful of that when I'm creating, especially like reviews and that type of content. Green Witch Envy, great example from Phoenix Shaving. I'm head over heels in love with that fragrance. If you heard me talk about it, it's the kind of fragrance that I do get excited about, and I try to be mindful of my energy level, that I'm not sending subliminal messages that people are like, oh my gosh, you know, like Toby's like, you gotta have this, right? And jumping up and down like, whoo, wow. So I try and be mindful of all these things, and please keep me honest on that. Like, right? Tobin, is it really that good? Yes, sir, it is really that good. It's good stuff, Maynard. A little big thing is knowing our limits, keeping each other honest, looking out for one another. With this video, that's all I'm trying to do. Give you a couple of ways that you can apply things. Setting a budget. That is the most critical point right there, is that you set a budget and you stick to it. If there's nothing else that you remember from this video, remember, set a budget. It's the little big things. And a big thing is being responsible with not only our dollars, but our time. It's the little big things, my friends. And until next time, take care.